I will not do a long introduction because there's so much I could say. I've sent biographical and links and whatnot to not only on your architecture and your academic career, but also on your writings to the students. I won't repeat all of that except to commend you also on the high honor received, in Spain with the architectural award the year before last. I remember when you were in New York and there was an exhibition of your work concurrent with the Brunner Award, and then the exhibition at the Urban Center. It was at that time, Spanish architects were not very much known in New York for whatever reason, and I don't know if it was linguistic or otherwise. We were seeing the British invasion. It was like the Beatles coming, and many British firms, a couple of French architects. You sort of broke through the mold, and not only for your own work, but as I was saying at the Cervantes Institute, you inaugurated an exhibition of work of young architects, some of whom were in our program today. My friend Maria Atado and others were there. But your career has been phenomenal. And I think the testimony that you received, earlier a moment ago from Lorenzo as mentor, as master, as professor, is that for hundreds and maybe more than that of people, some of whom I know, Rocio Cavajo, others who learned at your feet. We're delighted that you're here as the closer, which is to say you could take as long as you want, if we all could linger all day. But we've had the privilege of speaking with other people through the course of the week, many of whom maybe a few others. Javier Cami from AECOM may not be familiar to you, but our sense of Madrid has grown proportionally, almost concentrically, like the ring roads. I think what we're hoping from your presentation is to get a sense of, maybe it's the significance, the beauty, the power of what design can do to positively impact people's lives. But that's not putting words in your mouth. These are all things that you've talked about so much in your writings and through your work. I don't want to take more time than I have done already. I talked too much as an introduction, but I am so delighted that you're here with us today. I can't thank you enough. And the floor is yours. You can share your screen when you're ready, and we'll stay with you as long as you have. Alberto, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I go to introduce the ¿cómo se llama PDF?
PowerPoint.
The PowerPoint with some images. First of all, I would like to thank Rick for his invitation. For me, it's an honor to have this opportunity to connect and to have this lecture or something like that with Columbia University. At the beginning, I didn't understand exactly what type of lecture you were speaking about, sustainability and this type of questions, very overwhelmed. And I said, I go maybe to speak much better about beauty. I am 75 years old, and when you are becoming older and older, and you discover what are the most important central questions in our labor. Our labor, like architects, is, I think, I am convinced that our labor is the most beautiful. It's overall students, a student who you are listening this morning, this lecture. This is the most beautiful labor all over the world. I am convinced, and I'm sure that Rick is convinced also, and Lorenzo and Fernando also. Lorenzo was one of my best students, and I am very proud to be to be here today. And about the need for beauty. In Columbia University, no puedo estar viendo los de la izquierda, no, bueno, do you remember this poet? This poet is one of the best Spanish poets, is Federico García Lorca. And our Federico García Lorca was studying and living in Columbia University. And this picture, very known and very famous picture, is at Columbia University. He's seated on a podium, and the podium is supporting a black onyx sphere. And what is that? And I remember maybe this image corresponds to this travel quoted by Rick when I made the exhibition at the Urban Center. It was a very happy time for me. I received the commission to build the Hispano house, and many things. It was a time, and it continues being a very happy time. And I am indicating, oram expecta veniet. The time expected is coming. And why? But at this moment, the sphere disappear. The sphere, because constructive matters, the tension, boom, disappear, but the podium rested. And always when I come back to Colombia, I come back to this place and I took some pictures and so on. This time, can recognize here Angela Giral. Angela was a Spanish special woman, and she played like the librarian at Columbia, and I had with her a very special relation. She was very kind, and many other friends. And the other support, my other column, my other baseman is Kenneth Frampton. Kenneth has been, and he continues being. You know that Kenneth continues very healthy. I speak with him many times, and he is so generous that he wrote the last writing on me for the Rizzoli book that is coming very soon, and for many things. Kenneth, my Kenneth. And why beauty? Why I think, are you convinced that beauty is the center more than sustainability? Yes, sustainability, the best architecture has been always sustainable, always sustainable. The Roman pieces, the Pantheon continues. Adriano renovated, and it continues being sustainable in every way. But overall is translation and materialize the beauty. And when I was received some years ago in my Royal Academy of Beaux-Arts in Madrid, I entitled my discourse like Buscar denodadamente la belleza, looking for or seeking relentlessly the beauty. Is recognizing that is in the center of our ideas. You remember that Plato defined veritatis splendor. The splendor of the truth is the beauty. And after our Vitruvio said about before Venustas is beauty, students. I hope sometimes just now it is very curious how the new generations for them speak in Latin with Latin words, utilitas, firmitas, venustas, but they understand function, construction, beauty. These 3 points of support. But the last point, or the first point, is the beauty. it is necessary to accomplish with the function, it is necessary to build perfectly, and after is coming the beauty, is confirming that the other 2 points are true. Sustainability, an architecture is sustainable when this architecture accomplish the 3 conditions. Sustainability. Espérate ahora porque esto no quiere. And Rick suggests to put 2 projects to speak about the sports pavilion in Madrid and a competition for housing, social housing in Madrid. This sport pavilion that I am very happy with the results and images. This is not the moment to describe the function, but it's very clear. It's the pavilion and with classrooms building on the right in this section, and the swimming pool in the cave, and details. It is necessary, the firmitas, the construction to be an architect, students, an architect. I defend, always defend, and Rick and Fernando and Lorenzo, they understand perfectly. The most important are the ideas. If you have not ideas, I entitled my first book, I wrote a lot of books. My first book was The Built Idea. It is necessary to have an idea, but this idea must capable to be built. It is necessary to construct, to these firmitas. For example, when I was constructing the the composed beams, in one moment I decide, it is because I put this image, I decide to paint before to put on the roof. It is easier to paint on the ground floor than to paint, and the first composite beams were without paint, not painted. And I decide, okay, go to paint before to elevate. And to construct, when I decide eliminate the column in the corner, you remember that Miss van der Rohe in one moment decide the column in the corner must disappear to underline the likeness, to underline the continuity and so on. And it was very easy, but always it is because I like to proclaim, to try that it is necessary to build perfectly, not with perfection. The good architecture permits defects, but it is necessary, but must be resolved. This one is the corner where the column has disappeared, but the beams must be add composed diagonal elements to support well. And why and how finally to make pedagogically clear. When I put this glass in the corner, this corner in glass, I put the sample glass, and Rick can protest. But sustainability. Yeah, but I study very well the percentage of the other walls in my building were very well. I decided at the beginning this building was completely translucent. Finally, in one moment I decide 2 walls opaque against the south to protect, and 2 walls to the north translucent. This is collaborators. You always are quoting, we are quoting our closer collaborators, but never, and here I was very proud of my workers, and I said, I like a picture with you. They were making perfectly. The steps are covered with big pieces of ceramic tiles, enormous, and they made perfectly. like this one. White, the light is beautiful, beautiful. The composed beams, the truss are manifesting its power. The light is entering perfectly, and every detail collaborating to underline the idea are built. Stereo, pa, 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 the corner one more time, and this corner maybe is capable to summarize many ideas of this building. The second building is only a project that maybe Rick was very, very proud. He said, Alberto is speaking about sustainability. And I, of course, I was using because, okay, plans are very, very precise and perfect, but overall sections. And this is the famous Canadian wells. Yes, our Canadian wells. This is a thermal labyrinth. Yes, this is a thermal labyrinth. And our mechanisms capable, the thermal labyrinth is to have a cave, in the cave, and a space in a very simple way to transform in the winter to get and to get a hot air, and in the summer to get a fresh air. And this type of questions, very simple, that I think can be resolved, but they are not the central question, are questions helping to make the most sustainable, like this one. The glass coffin on the balcony is a very old mechanism in my city, in Cádiz, in the south of Spain. Is always this balconies with mechanisms capable to work. And no more, and it's not necessary to explain this one. And some ideas that I try to translate. In this one is just now I am making, is under construction, one building by me with my collaborator is on the left in this image, is Miguel Quismondo, a young Spanish architect, very, very, very good. And we are both of us designing and just building. This one, espérate, vamos a ver si aparece aquí. This one is under construction, but and I am very, very proud and very happy. But before the idea is an isotropic space. It's a cubical space with a hole in every corner in such a way that the sun has always a point, a hole to enter, and two tenths. I like to speak when they say, "Oh, Mr. Campo Baeza, you are the architect of the light." No, the light is the light for an architect is like the air for a music. Could you imagine that someone saying, "Oh, Mr. Beethoven, you are the music of the air"? No, the air is necessary to music. Light is necessary, and the light is also tuning, like a musical instrument, tuning the space. And this one is the idea. This space is a pavilion for arte povera, some pieces by my clients. They are incredible. They are very, very, very good people, very cultivated, very generous. Remember this exhibition at the Urban Center. In the Urban Center was that day was Massimo Vignelli. You remember, Rick? Massimo?
Of course.
And Massimo introduced to me the couple, Olnik Spanu, Nancy Olnik and Giorgio Spano, and he said, "Alberto, you go to make a house for them." And it was true. And just now,
I wondered how you'd met.
it was magnificent. And in this pavilion, the central space is this one for special cubicle where the light will be the protagonist. After I like to not to be long, but to speak it. The Gaspar house was a house like open, a box open to the sky, and in the center of the house. It's very simple, very, very simple. It's Hortus Conclusus, and very well known, very simple. Is the most economic piece that I built. And on the opposite was the Belvedere family, or maybe we should speak about archetypes. Is instead of like here on the opposite and on the top another piece, Belvedere, Belvedere. And this with this idea of Belvedere is my last building built, a house in Madrid, in the outskirts of Madrid, the Rotonda house, because compositively, we will say, and that this family, the first was the Blas house, was exactly the same. The only Hispano house belongs to this collection of archetypes, and also the Rufo house. That's this Rotonda house. Why Rotonda house? Because I use some classical mechanisms like the double axiality. And it's so simple, no more. We could analyze, but it is not necessary. I like not only in other type of plans, but also in my sketches to see and to demonstrate that we are analyzing every detail. Models. Sometimes they say, Alberto, you are making a lot of models, but don't you discover renders? I said, okay, but could you imagine to put a render under the sun? Never happens. But with the model is the 3 dimensions in a simultaneous way, and it's possible to work and a model that is not only to translate the last solution, but is a very good student. It's a very, very good instrument to analyze and to continue. It is because I make many models. Plans, the type plan with this double axiality, and the top with where the Belvedere is, looking at the city in a so beautiful. The only thing that my client, she is very special, and she was protesting. She protested. Oh, Alberto, when I am in the glass box in this Belvedere, everybody can see me, of course, and you can see everybody, of course. But is the story is very long, but we are in the más alto, on the top of a hill, and it's a very special. You can dominate, control the 360 degrees. Not only the city, but the mountains and so on. And the podium is made in stone, and the top is glass and no. Antemenos. And after to make buildings like that, I made buildings where disappear. This drawing you cannot recognize in a first moment, but it's made by John Hudson. Do you remember Hudson wrote a very famous writing, plateau platforms, speaking about the flat horizontal plane on the top of the forest, and this one is Atemenos. Atemenos, that is a very old idea. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Dónde está el Partenón? The Acropolis in Athens is Atemenos, and on the top is the temple, but the Temenos, where the gods were coming to speak and to meet the human beings. And for this house of the infinite, in front of the sea, with a weather very special, you are looking at the horizon. The horizon is the infinite, but after this horizon is Africa. Africa is, we are in front of Africa. And I decide no more, because the weather is so good that it is possible to be living on the top, on this plan. This plan is not only to say, oh my God, no, it's to be living every day and to enjoy with the, is in the first line and so on. And using the same idea, I built a plan, a flat horizontal plan in Cádiz, in my city, between the cathedrals, to look at the sea in a very, and when the cars were passing, crossing in front of, because this position elevated will disappear. And a house of the infinite. And what is that? Why, Mr. Campo Baeza, if you are speaking about the temenos and you are speaking about the flat horizontal plane, are you taking Rembrandt? Rembrandt in this famous scene, the litos trotos in Latin, and ¿cómo se llamaba en griego? Era él. And Rembrandt is making a very architectonic mechanism, a trick. Do you remember Miss van der Rohe? Miss van der Rohe one day said, oh, Rembrandt was designing this horizontality with a ruler. It's so perfect. It's perfect. And Miss van der Rohe said, okay, go to make the same in the Farnborough house, to put the horizontal plane in coincidence with your eyes. And the plane is converted in a line. This is a mechanism. It's not an idea, it's a mechanism. I like to distinguish between ideas and mechanisms in architecture. The poor Leiden, no, he didn't make this one, and we can see the plane complete. But Rembrandt made like this, and many years after, Picasso said, and Picasso is using his language, but the horizontal line is perfect, is inspired in Rembrandt, like Miss van der Rohe, and me like Miss, like Rembrandt, like Picasso. And this house on the first line on the beach in Tarifa, Cádiz, in front of Africa, is like this one. The house is like made in sand with travertine and models, plans. Plans are not important because it's very simple. This is now at the moment to explain how servant spaces, servant spaces, and so on. But the most important is how the building, this temenos, this podium is embedded into the ground. And what is making Mr. Campo Baeza like a clown here? He is deciding exactly where the plan must be. This one. And I decided here, the dimension in vertical, what is the dimension in coincidence with our eyes and so on. Is to speak, and only students take note. To be precise, architecture, like music, needs to be precise, to be precise. Pa, 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 and after, because the idea is clear, the translation is clear, the dimensions are clear, and also the material. Why travertine? This travertine has some stems to be confounded with the sand, the same color and the sand. After, with the same idea, I designed that maybe is coming, maybe this year will be under construction, the salt mines in Canary Island, are salt mines in front, one more time, in front of the sea, of the Atlantic Ocean, and the idea is more or less the same. The idea of a building embedded and making a plan. And to finish, the last my last one of my last projects is in a row of beginning the cultural center in Tecuan, Mexico. This is Jalisco, Mexico, you know, and they said to me, Alberto, we have some rocks into the sea. You are free to decide the function. And I said, okay, go to make a plane on the top, one more time, at the menos, to enjoy the place, to enjoy the sea, to enjoy the Pacific Ocean, and to create this plane, it is necessary to construct, to build a box, and the functions for the box, everything is possible. The box will be in concrete. The concrete will be with the same color and texture like the rocks, and will be open. The birds cross the building, the water will enter in the building, and so on. And one more time, trying to look for the beauty. And to finish, why I finish with this design, with this drawing by Goya. Maybe, I don't know if you know the Spanish language, Rick, but this is by Goya, and he wrote, Aún aprendo, I am still learning. He was 64 years old. He wrote 54, but I discovered that was 64, not 54. And if Goya was learning with 64, me with 75 years, I am still learning. I'm very happy to learn. I'm very happy with your invitation for speaking this morning at Columbia University. I love Columbia. You know that I spent my 2 sabbatical years at Columbia University.
That was around 20 years ago.
Very, very happy. And I use every Christmas to go to New York and so on, but this year and the last year was impossible. But I hope maybe this 2022 to go. Because you know that my classes with your friend Maria Perbellini at the NYIT, we are by the computer, and we enjoy a lot. Beauty.
Alberto, thank you. This is amazing. It was exactly what I was hoping for. I can't thank you enough. I think you had written in the built idea that architects reveal the keys to architecture in their drawings, floor plans, sections, and also in their writings. And I think what we've seen today shows how all that comes together. I think in something that you wrote recently, you were quoting a translation of Aristotle's Protrepticus, that it said that which is the expression of wisdom and the manifestation of wise thought. So I feel so lucky, and on behalf of the students who are listening in with me today, so lucky to benefit from the wisdom of your experience. You're still learning, but we're learning from you. So thank you. The overlaps, the world is so small. Maria Perbellini and I are both on the, what is it called? The board, the steering committee of the New York Architecture Biennial. And it's really been fun to work together across the academic divides. NYIT is down the street, but I'm hoping that, we could work something out, that you'll come and be able to do something at Columbia to reach more people. That would be fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you, Rick. You were quoting the Protecticus.
Yeah, well,
by
picking up on what you were doing.
But you know that it's a disappear book.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that one day it will appear. And I am searching and investigating and so on. And the classical culture, what important is Thank you very, very much.
Well, one other thing, one other image that you were showing was in the relation, the Vitruvian relation, of firmitas utilitas, of firmness, commodity, and delight in English. Delight is also translated in English as beauty. The French translation is always beauté. It's delight is the beautiful. I've never seen that particular image where the triangle is subsumed into a square. And I was saying yesterday, because this was also part of a presentation, that the thing that always seemed to me to be missing in the triad was how people intersect. It's not just about the functionality or the commodity or the usefulness, but it was about the sense of bringing people together. The communitatis was the missing element in the Vitruvian triad, and the square led to that opportunity. So I appreciate that drawing, which I'd not seen before. Your work is amazing. The precision, the beauty, it speaks for itself. I don't have to interpret it. It's there, and I'd like to have time for the students to ask questions and react. But there was one other thing that I read, is that when you were in New York, in the apartment of your clients, you were blown away. You were amazed by the Rothko on the wall. There was a painting by Mark Rothko that helped to define that apartment for your estimation. You have, in all of your work, as was seen in the images, religiously avoided the use of color. The monochromatic, the white, allows, as you've written, the play of light naturally to occur without the distortion of color. Can you talk about how color then comes into the equation, or not? By the setting, by the nature, by the art, by the use, by the people. That would be my first question.
You are proposing a very classical question that I tried to respond to myself many, many times. Not only because this Rothko, you are quoting the Rothko, my clients, they have a very especially beautiful Rothko in blues. Blues is not common. Rothko always introduce red and orange and so on. But the piece by my clients are in blue and green, and especially good. But this question, I try to respond by the hand of Luis Barragan. With Barragan, one of my masters, this Mexican master, used it always, color. I try in some of my projects to introduce more color, and always I continue working, and the color disappear. And I said, okay, why, if you are like Bach, why what do you prefer, Bach or Wagner? I prefer Bach. I prefer to be closer to Bach. But Bach is always white and white. Yes, okay, but I adore Bach. You understand perfectly. But it's a question that he was I was worried so long. Just now I'm not worried.
I could talk forever, and I do much too much. I'd like to open it up for everyone on the Zoom, my students, others who've joined, and Fernando and Lorenzo. Thank you so much for staying on, and please feel free. Fernando, you're muted. Feel free to be part of the discussion. If you have some observations or reflections or thoughts, that would be great. Fernando.
Of course, we were here for pleasure to hear our master, so it's easy to be here.
I have an enormous admiration of your work, and your work in the Plaza de España is very good, very good.
Thank you, Alberto.
I am at this moment. This Plaza de España is full of boxes in wood for fairs, for
Yes, yes. No, now they are taking it off. Tomorrow,
okay.
tomorrow
I
will be
am
open.
waiting for the
Yeah.
day when will be clean.
Yeah.
What I will go to enjoy more and more.
Oh, it would be great if
Your service to the city. I think it's very important the pieces in the city to serve the city, to put this one in the best possible hands like yours.
Thank you, Alberto. No, only a reflection that Alberto knows is one of its materials about light. So Vitruvio has no speak about light, but Vitruvio speaks about, in some sense, in his tratado about sustainability, because he speaks how to select the place healthy for build a house, no, and for Alberto, which is this with this simplicity of geometry and purity and beauty in the lines, in the clean intersection between materials and planes, is the light. No, the light as a very different element who is introducing itself, exploding, sliding. So only to remark this special material he uses, taken from the nature, very sustainable at least at the end.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Fernando.
Are there questions from the students for Alberto, for that matter, for Fernando or Lorenzo? Because we truncated that portion of the presentation. Any questions before we continue opening the discussion? Oh, and I'd also like to welcome Chintan Vora, who may be joining us this coming semester. And I'm glad you were able to sit in today. Thank you, Chintan. Questions, please. Observations, thoughts. Yes, Derry.
Very shy.
Thank you so much.
Very shy students.
Thank you so much, Professor. Could you hear me?
Yes, you're fine.
Thank you for your lecture, Professor Alberto. I'm just wanted to ask about the trend of constructions right now. In the future, there will be more off-site constructions or off-site prefabrications, and sometimes people feel it like a boring, some kind of boring design or something, like it's not so very beautiful maybe. And what is your thoughts about this trend in the future? That's all. Thank you.
Fabricación de casas en el exterior y
Prefab.
prefabricación.
Prefab. I think prefab in the same way that sustainability are terms that is important. Prefab is important, but it's only a way. It's not better if it is prefab or directly made. But I would like to make prefabrication, because with prefabrication it's possible to get more economic architecture. For example, for social housing, could be convenient, and for many other things, and many elements that you are using for your architecture are prefab before. When some centuries ago, it was necessary to produce everything, and just now, no, many things are prefab, and you are using prefab. ¿Cómo se dice la palabra? Elements, and okay, but it's important that no key question. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, professors. Thank you so much.
Are there questions or thoughts? Yes, there's a shyness, but maybe intimidation as well. Yes, Lin Shi, please.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. And through this, through the lecture this week, I feel like many of you are working on building a sustainable Madrid city. So I have a question, because there are rivers near Madrid, and it makes me recall the river source water cooling system. I don't know whether or not you have ever heard of this technology, and I wonder if there are some projects in Madrid applying this technology to the project, as you know.
Fernando.
What, sorry, what kind of, Alberto, what technology have you said? Sorry?
River source water cooling system. Using the river water to...
No, because our hydrological system is stational, so it depends on the season of the year. I think it's very beautiful also to have a river which changes along the year. We have many water in the spring because of the snow which is melting from the mountains, and in the summer is almost completely dry as a desert. So we haven't the possibility to use the water of the rivers for that technology in our buildings.
Thank you. Glad to hear your ideas.
Thank you for the question. You know, I'm also reflecting on all of the talks that we've heard this week, and especially what we've learned today, and the things that cities can learn from each other is at the heart of why we initiated the field study. The idea that you couldn't just read articles or go to lectures, but you had to visit places and see public plazas in use, or see university facilities filled with students. We saw Paris Saclay under construction when we were in Paris 2 years ago. The regret I have, as I've expressed repeatedly, is that we're not there in person. Yet I think we've all learned about things about Madrid by the combination of individuals and offices and talents that I don't know how else we could have done. You know, I mean, yes, being there, but is there anything that you all would suggest, and you know, Alberto, Lorenzo, Fernando, on what we could be reading further that would talk about the transformations in Madrid? Is there a book that is coming out or that has been published recently that addresses the transformation? Because, you know, I'm a New Yorker. I was brought up to hate Los Angeles, you know, partly because they stole the baseball team, partly because it was a city that was dominated by cars. But the more time I spent in Los Angeles, the more I saw how it was changing and how dynamic it was, and how the car was being little by little forced out. And it wasn't about the car, it was about the life of the city. Similarly, the time I've spent in Spain has mostly been in Barcelona. My daughter studied there. For a variety of reasons, I've spent more time there. And the competition between cities, New York and Los Angeles as the first two cities in the US, Chicago the third now. You know, I would not equate with Cadiz or even Sevilla, Toledo, but Madrid and Barcelona have always politically and economically and otherwise been rivals. Is that moment past? You know, is Madrid now the architectural and planning and design and conceptual center again, you know, with the old forum and with one close and others close. It seemed that Barcelona was the place to study, or as an example. And even now we hear about the super blocks and the innovations that are happening there urbanistically. As with your connections to both ETSAM and to the life of Madrid, the history of Madrid, you know, where is Catalonia these days? Is it on the edge? And what should we be thinking about in terms of continuing our analysis of Madrid when we return to the camp? We return to the classroom next week.
See, the university is very similar. In fact, I was in Barcelona teaching 2 years ago for a semester, a complete semester. I enjoy a lot. And the school of Barcelona he took me in with open arms, and I enjoy a lot. I spoke in Spanish with the Spanish words, no problem. I think sometimes at this moment is very difficult to analyze and to have a diagnostic. I prefer to continue working, not creating problems. Some people, politics are like in another area, and they are every day discussing for every letter, for every point, and I don't trust in them. But the cities are going and walking, and Fernando and Lorenzo, they said, and how the Plaza de España, the first day when they opened, was full of people. I every day I took for a walk long. I take for a walk long 1 hour to be convenient. My doctor said to me, I enjoy a lot, and it's full of people. The streets, the Gran Via, the center is full of people, and I don't like to create problems between the 2 cities. They are not 2 cities, one versus Barcelona versus Madrid, or the opposite. No, I think everyone has his way and no more. By the way, you know that today in Barcelona died Ricardo Bofill, died today.
Oh no.
This morning.
I
Has
did
died.
not know that. With Bohigas last month, it's
And
Yes.
Boyigas one time.
But I agree completely with Alberto, but things has changed. Now, people, you know, in Madrid, people who live in Madrid is a Madrilenian. It's like everybody who is coming, he feels like it's a town to hometown. Madrid is more now in these years. Madrid is much more dynamic than Barcelona. The economy here, the investments, the developers are very dynamic in Madrid, much more than Barcelona. Barcelona was an example for all of us with the Olympics and with Boigas as a captain of the design of the city, with many different little designs, not a big plan, but very good architecture in every place in the 90s of the 20th century. And now Barcelona is more sleeping. People from Barcelona coming to Madrid are quite surprised because of this use of public space, use of new areas. You know, in Madrid in the last 10 years with Gallardón, we made Madrid Rio, which is a very important, very huge project. Now it's another huge project in the north. It's a private spot, but very big in the north, called Madrid Nuevo Norte, which is the closed in the north. So I think, of course, we don't mind about fighting. We don't want to make a competition with cities. For us, it's not important. We only want to develop our work, and I think ETSAM is a cradle or a nest for many architects, which from many years ago we are working not only in Madrid but in the whole country, like Alberto, in many places of Spain and abroad. So this our school, when we were taught by Alberto many years ago, has created a family of ideas, very shared between us. And I think this is a thing that we have realized when you come here. But I think now economy in Madrid is very hard, and the city is changing very quickly in some parts. I will send you a reference by mail with the last book about this operation, the only book I know, which is made by a French team, speaking about the former political period, very different than we have. But it's very interesting. I will send you. It's very interesting to see these different projects together.
That would be appreciated. Thank you. So we're at the stated closing time at noon here in New York. Must be 6 p.m. in Madrid. Is there any last comments from anyone before we wrap it up? And I express again my heartfelt thanks for everything that we've learned today and learned in the past. I see Ken Frampton frequently. He was my mentor when I was a student at Columbia, and he is, as you say, Alberto, still going strong. He's is 85 now, I think 86. And we were communicating by email, but we had lunch together last year, and he was just vibrant, and so I'm glad you're in touch as well. I can't wait to come to Madrid, and I hope that we'll be able to continue the conversation in a different way. Fernando,
Okay.
Lorenzo, thank you again. It was a pleasure to meet you both today.
I only want to
Thank
say
you,
two words. First, congratulations, Rick, because these days, I think your election of architects has been fantastic. Not for us, for the others.
Well,
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mhm.
And we have
We
very lucky
continue
to,
at your disposal.
and we are very lucky to share the space with Alberto. For us, has been
well, the
fantastic.
pairings were not quite accidental. I tried to bring together people who I thought would want to hear from each other, but it was also a function of availability. I mean, it was accidental when people had the time. So if it seemed conscious and deliberate, it was partly that and partly serendipitous. So I'm glad
your students are very lucky.
Thank you.
Because
and
of you.
We have recorded this. The video recording, until I figure out how to compress it, is enormous, but important. So the audio recordings I'll post right away. But if you could if both presentations could be sent as PowerPoints, I could put those up particularly for the students who couldn't be here today. Several of the students actually are not feeling well, whether it's Omicron or some other variation or flu, I don't know. And even one or two who are with us today are doing so, with symptoms. So Columbia is going to be remote for the first 2 weeks, at least. I don't know if that'll continue. So this idea of connectivity through a screen, we're trying to figure out pedagogically how to make that into a useful tool. And I haven't seen, we've seen tours, we've seen walkthroughs, but I haven't seen others yet doing a kind of a field study methodology. And this is just a beginning experiment. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about how to improve it. But I think your participation today, all parts of it, helped to demonstrate to me that it's plausible, that it's possible, that it's valuable and can work. So I'll conclude with that.
Rick, we are ready to continue collaborating.
All right, let's do that. And with that, enjoy the rest of your evening in Madrid, and I'll say goodbye.
Thank you, Rick.
Goodbye. Goodbye
See
again.
you. I will write to you. We will write to you.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks.